Voice of Indiana County, it's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. Good morning. Thanks so much for being with us here on this Friday. Mr. Bob Pollock is with us. If you'd like to call and ask Bob a question, 479-1160 or 349-WCCS. Our conversation this morning brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning.
Good morning.
I brought you in a picture on my phone of our azalea bush, which is going crazy blooming. And you're saying that this year seems to be a good year for azaleas, huh?
Seems to be. At least I've noticed a number of them that are in completely covered. You can barely see the leaves for all the flowers.
Yeah, well,
which is wonderful.
That one of mine.
Yeah, and just like yours.
Yeah,
you have a nice white one.
But as I said, on the other side of that, there's a pink one that's barely got anything on it. Who knows? And the rose bush in front of there, I just trimmed that maybe a week and a half ago, and look how green it's gotten.
Yep, and leaves are starting to flush, and
that's
looks like there's good growth coming on all of the stems there, which is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll get some dieback.
I wanted to get into that a little bit with you because I did not get them trimmed as I wanted to in time at the end of the year last year. And so there were many more longer shoots on them for the winter. I didn't think that would be a big deal with the winter coming. If one of those started to die, at least it would die way up there. And
right.
I wouldn't have to worry about something like that. But knowing which ones to crimp out and which ones to leave on, it sort of becomes... Well, you think that you're doing real big science here, but nature takes over anyway, doesn't it?
Usually, yes.
Yeah. I suppose I could mess it up really bad, but in this case I didn't.
Well, you're trying to maintain a structure there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have branches that are there, and of course those will push out some new branches also. But you're trying to, kind of have a nice shrubby rose with multiple branches, and those main branches will come up, and then they'll, have buds open and get side branches to help fill it in and also, allow you to have more foliage and more flowers.
This thing is going to get super full, and the roses that come off of that are going to be incredible because that's just a characteristic of that particular plant. But it's interesting that as I was taking some of those pictures of it, that I was seeing all kinds of bees, and it got me to wondering, 2-3 years ago, we were talking about the shortage of bees and how we don't know what's killing them, and are we going to have enough to do everything? Again, nature comes through. But the bee population still is, I understand, still endangered.
Yes, from year to year it varies, but we're always concerned about that. Always trying to do things to help improve and provide habitat so that they can, and of course a lot of different species of bees, the European honeybee, of course, it's mostly in hives, but we have a lot of different types of native bees. Some are ground nesters, some are nesting in the stems of some of our perennials and other plants that are perennial plants, but they die back each year and then send up a new flush of growth for the year. Those herbaceous perennials, we would call those. But yeah, so we're always in learning more. Where do these creatures live? What is their habitat? Maybe we've done practices in the past. Maybe we've, example would be cutting plants, doing a fall cleanup where we really clean up.
Yeah.
All those herbaceous perennials that die back anyhow, we go ahead and cut them at the ground or close to it. And then we learn that, some of our bees that are helping us out nest in those dead stems over the winter. So maybe we should leave that there and then not cut those back until spring when we start to see some new growth coming. And then maybe preserve those, even though we still have to cut those off those dead stems.
Yeah.
Or I guess we could leave them and let the new growth, come up through and eventually hide them. And then that allows those insects to naturally complete their life cycle, come out when it's time. Or you can still cut those off, but then just set them aside, because those insects will still complete their life cycle rather than chopping them up or chipping them up or something like that.
They're so important, and we really don't give them the credit that they deserve for making the garden grow.
Right, and unless you're there to observe that, unless you take a stem and slice it and look what's inside, or observe a bee coming out of one of those hollow, and that's especially true of the hollow-stemmed plants, because it's got a natural cavity there for insects to crawl down into and have a home to complete that portion of their life cycle.
As nice as those all look, the rhubarb this year, they're nothing. I got nothing in the rhubarb field.
Wow.
So
nothing's coming up.
Nothing has come up at all. No.
Did you dig anything
It's
up?
like it's disappeared. No.
Just maybe go at the edge of the planting and dig in the mud.
Yeah.
And see if the plant's still alive.
Yeah.
Look at the roots.
Evidently not.
Well, unless it's just slow, but it should be up by now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but nothing for how many plants?
There's probably 6 in there. But there's not a single thing came up. So evidently they've just decided to vacate the premises.
Yeah.
So rhubarb didn't do good. That one azalea is not doing well.
Is there now the azalea that's not doing well? Is it getting leaves?
No.
The plants.
Yeah. Evidently, it's just decided I'm done.
Some things are slow. Sometimes things get stressed from the previous year. We may not have noticed it. We may have went into fall and it might have been looking okay, or at least to us it looked okay. And then we go through winter and spring, and when a similar plant is leafing out or in full flower as your other azalea, and this one's not doing well, then we notice that.
Well, right next to the sick azalea, there's another plant there, a shrub type of plant that has really, really taken off, and it struggled last year, but it's really blooming and did very early, and I don't know if it's crowding out that azalea or not.
Well, if it's overshadowing it, if it's shading it, if it's just too close. But, if it's far enough away that it's getting light.
It's north facing, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But usually, azaleas don't need full sun. Mm-hmm. They'll do well in part sun. And it would have, usually it's a case where the other plant has outgrown the other one, and now is providing too much competition or shading, that the other one starts to decline, or it just grows into it, and then we need to make a decision and move one. But pruning, looking at plants, there still might be some things where, like hydrangeas, are a good one. Mm-hmm. I have several hydrangeas. Normally, they all die back almost to the ground. I might have 6 inches or a foot where there's new foliage coming out at the base, and then those 3 or 4 foot high stems are deader than a doornail. But not this year, not this winter.
Oh yeah.
There's leaves coming out all the way to the tips of the branches. Now that freeze, I think, did a little bit of damage. We had a couple weeks ago, because you can see that they're stunted a little bit. Their leaves are coming out, but they're a little bit twisted. So I went in on a couple of those that were the worst, and I trimmed those back to where there's a more normal looking set of leaves. So just shortened them up about 6 or 8 inches, just to tidy them up and do that. And if you're not sure whether something's coming out or not, take the clippers and and snip a branch, or just take it in your hand and feel it, and then if it snaps, you know that's dead wood. Sometimes things can be a little slow to come out, or maybe that freeze. Things were looking good, and then that freeze, they were just at that point where those buds were sensitive, or they were just opening and got nipped. So you might have to go in and tidy up and just check that out.
Couple minutes left, just a short time. One question I wanted to make sure I asked you: is it too late for me to take a low-hanging but pretty substantial branch off of a red maple tree that wraps me in the face every time I mow? That baby is low enough, and as the leaves come out, and I just neglected to do it. I planned to do it earlier, but as the leaves come out, the branch itself gets weighed down and it hangs lower to the ground, and I have to sort of fight my way through it when I'm mowing the grass underneath it. Is it too late to take that limb off?
No, we usually like to not do a lot right now when everything's leafing out. How big around?
Probably.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah, we're looking at probably 6 inches.
Yeah, you can, because everything else otherwise is looking good. And got good growth and okay. Yeah,
that can come.
You can.
All right,
take that off, and you'll be okay.
I probably won't have the courage to do it.
Well, you will when you're mowing and you whack your head on it, and then
I fight my way through it, and then I curse at it a little bit, and then we're fine. All right, sir. Thanks so much, Bob.
Do you really?
No, not really. I don't say those words. It's Indiana in the Morning. It's WCCS. Good morning.
It's like this, Doc. I'm there for them. I'm rock solid. I do my job. But man, they walk all over me. They drive all over me. They play ball on me. And animals do unspeakable things on me. I'm cracked. I'm faded. I look so old. I need a seal coat.
Is your driveway in need of some love, some TLC? Johnston Nursery Landscaping has you covered. J&L's team of experts can bring your driveway back to life with seal coating and crack filling. Don't ignore it any longer. Now is the perfect time of year to call Johnston Nursery Landscaping, the experts in driveway makeovers.
Your office is filled with equipment, printers, a copier or two, scanners, and maybe even a fax. Getting trained or tech support shouldn't be a hassle. Burger Office Systems makes it easy. The new Xerox machines do all of that and more in one machine. When you get your Xerox from Burger Office Systems, you'll see it's much more than a copier. It's also the team who stands behind it. Call Burger Office Systems today, 349-3710. Burger Office Systems, your local authorized Xerox technology provider.
In a world filled with noise and chaos, find solace and purpose at the Church of Good Shepherd in Kent. Their doors are open, welcoming all who seek peace, belonging, and spiritual